Hey guys, this is a Latin 3 video. Let's see, we're going to check the homework, and that's what we would have been doing today, um, even if we were in class. I wish I could make that go away, but I did it in the wrong order, so that's going to be there. Great. So we are going to do a Chapter 32 vocab quiz tomorrow, which might seem a little sudden given that we just got Chapter 32 vocab yesterday, but the vocab's not too bad. There will be some of these newer comparative and superlative adverb forms on it, and I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. But the idea is that we're trying to stay on track to finish chapter 40 in May. So just gonna keep trucking along, even if it's a weird 2.5 day week this week. That pertains to something from the architecture talk yesterday. Just as a refresher, this chapter is a handful of pretty light concepts. We now have comparative and superlative adverbs, which aren't too bad. They form pretty consistently, with the exception of a couple here and there. As you can see at the bottom of this list, we have some that are weird, but we mostly have this IUS ending in the comparative adverbs with a few exceptions, and we mostly have a doubled up superlative in the superlatives with, there's a couple of exceptions at the bottom of the list. So there are some more irregular ones. We have essentially 3 different flavors of the same irregular verb. I don't know if I would think of it as 3 totally separate verbs, but there are some irregularities similar to fera, fera, tuli, latum. So that'll take some getting used to. And then the proviso clauses are super easy, so that's not something I think we will need to worry about, because it's the easiest subjunctive clause by far, I'd say. And then some vocab, which is pretty straightforward. Okay, primo, illi, tre, ridiculi, ne, mediocria, quidem, pericula, fortiter, fera, paterant, et ullum, auxilium, offera, nolebant. Okay, this one's not too bad. There's nothing grammatically going on here, but there is a good amount of more recent vocabulary. And then ne is something we haven't necessarily seen before in this context, but it's super simple. It's the same as non. So it counts as an adverb, and we're used to seeing it at the beginning of a negated purpose or result clause. But here, our verbs are just indicative. We just have indicative of possum, paterant, imperfect third plural, and then it has, of course, an infinitive. And then towards the end, we have nolo. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Primo, sometimes this is first or firstly, potentially. But here I decided at first is the thing that sounds the best. So at first, those 3 ridiculous men, these long eyes are indicating masculine, so we can add men, were not able. Okay, I could have swore I just fixed this. Are you kidding me? Okay, we're not able to bravely bear mediocre dangers. So once we understand that ne is just non with an indicative, that's all it is. It's the same. There's nothing weird going on here other than the fact that quidem is splitting up our direct object, which is a little weird. And we do have this adverb that is technically new to us. It's a positive degree adverb though, fortiter. So it's from fortis, forta, a third declension adjective. And with all of those, you add this iter ending to make it the positive degree adverb. So just bravely or strongly would technically work here as well. Let's see. Oh, I didn't actually translate quidem, so it should be like certainly. Okay, they were certainly not able to bear any mediocre dangers. We're certainly, I want to keep that close to the predicate, and they weren't wishing to offer any help. Nothing weird going on there. That is the very identifiably imperfect tense version of nolo, which is new. And that's just like to not wish here. So I'm going to use weren't. Weren't wishing works pretty good. So as you can see, color coding wise, there's just some direct objects here, nothing really complex grammar wise. Okay, maxima rogavimus quantum auxilium septem feminae adferent et utrum dubitarent on nos mux auditorai essent. This maxima seems a little forced to me. This is the superlative of magna, like greatly. And so it could mean most, but here I don't think that works. Like we most asked would be weird. So let's use especially, which is another option given by the textbook. We especially asked, perfect tense, starting a indirect question, how much help the 7 women brought. I'm saying brought instead of bring or anything because adferent here is an imperfect subjunctive. And I'm actually realizing the imperfect subjunctives are, I think, the easiest thing to identify. That's probably clear to you guys already. We don't have to do the she wears a diamond thing. We don't have to think like, oh, does it look like perfect infinitive, which means it's pluperfect subjunctive, or future perfect indicative, which means it's perfect subjunctive. No, if you see something that looks like the infinitive, and it has MST, must have sent, that is imperfect. So that's what's going on there. So brought works, and then it gets a little weird. We haven't seen this utrum ... on too much, but that's going to be whether ... or. So whether they, and we also haven't seen dubito too much. I can't remember even getting it because it hasn't shown up too much. But and they doubted, dubitarent is also imperfect. Doubted, or I'm sorry, and whether they doubted us or would help us soon. So if you had trouble identifying additori as coming from the fourth principal part of adiuare, that is what it is, right? Okay, yeah, adiua. I need to add that to the gloss because that is such a weird fourth principal part. Let me just add that. Adiutum, yeah, okay. Weird. So that's that kind of, we don't even see it that much. Adiuo, adiuare, we think it's just that for perfect, and then adiutum for to help or aid. Okay, so what's going on with that though? It is future, it's a future infinitive, future active infinitive. Yeah. But what's kind of interesting here, I'd say, is that nos is the direct object of both dubitarent and aditori, because you need to doubt something, whether they doubted us, right? If we just had doubted, that'd be a little weird. So just like the word order suggests, actually, you want whether to happen before doubted. You don't want to say like, and asked if they doubted whether ... because then that's a different kind of construction, and you kind of hit a brick wall with that. Okay, apparently I'm saying that's a future active periphrastic. Is that really what we think? Yeah. Why are these subjunctive in the first place? Again, just because it's an indirect object. But yeah, I guess that must be the future active periphrastic. Interesting. Okay. Denique armis collatis, imperator promisit, decim milia militum celerime descisora esse dumodo satis copiarum reciperit. This one's not bad. I especially like these first few words because that is a drum roll. Ablative absolute. Okay, I don't know if I used to make the whole thing purple. I mean, I guess actually I'm looking at the color coding. It looks like I don't have anything for ablative absolute actually, but I use purple for anything that I want to highlight. So there you go. But it'll be like with the arms having been brought together. That collatis might have eluded you in terms of identifying it, but it's from the fourth principal part of confero, confera, contuli, collatum. Yeah, so where it's like it's a con, it's con as a prefix, except for the fourth principal part. So when you're forming the perfect passive participle, it is it's gonna look like that. But then from here, the rest of it, well, okay, this is actually a pretty weird sentence, but I kind of like it. The commander promised, I think we do need to go with promised, though promitto can be to send forth, which is more of a literal interpretation of mitto plus pro, like send on behalf of, or send for. Okay, but it looks like we're entering an indirect statement. So the commander promised that dot 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 10,000 soldiers would depart most swiftly is how we can take that superlative adverb that we have. I'm saying very swiftly on the PowerPoint. Most would work too, as swiftly as possible is also an option. I guess it's worth mentioning that militum is technically genitive, but we don't really want to use of to translate it. It's just a genitive with a cardinal number, and you're kind of multiplying 10 by 1,000 to get the number that this actually is. So just don't really overthink that. If you see decim next to Amelia, it's 10,000. Okay, and then discessora, that is a future infinitive. Okay, I want to compare this. So that's a future infinitive, because this is like an indirect statement, whereas we only have future active paraphrastics in indirect questions. Okay. All right. Just wanted to clear that up for myself, actually. Yeah, so they look a little different. Essent. I mean, for one thing, this is using a subjunctive form of sum esse because it needs to be subjunctive in the context of an indirect question, but it's just that there is no future tense subjunctive, right? That's why this thing exists. Okay, I just cleared that up for myself. It's more for me. And then the last part is pretty simple. So provided that they receive or take back, either way, enough troops. And again, that copiarum is genitive, but we don't really want to say enough of troops. It's just that satis often takes a genitive. We haven't seen it in a while. So this is a cool sentence. All right. I mean, actually, yeah. So I'm just like grabbing my. So it goes into an indirect statement and then a subjunctive proviso clause. It's kind of cool. All right, paria, beneficia, egator, and omnes dignos confra malvoltus. This is the only one I don't really like too much. We have paria, which is the nominative plural of this new third declension noun par, paris. That's way too close to pars partus. That means equal or like. And malvoltus there is just second person plural indicative present. So it's actually very basic, but I mean, malo is so new for us. It says there that malo, like you can probably get away with translating malo as just want. More literally, it's like want something more, but prefer, I'd say, is the way we often say that in English. And so I would stick with prefer. That seems to be the way to go as far as I'm concerned. And please do refer to page 267 when you're running into these verbs. So that'd just be like you or y'all prefer equal. Kindness is weird, so favors or benefits. Therefore, it could also be like favor. I mean, that's a weird use of the word like. Um, hmm. One second. So paria is, let's see, equal like. Because it's functioning here like a genitive, I mean, an adjective, which is a little weird. I kind of understood it almost like a noun. But no, it is an adjective. Okay, it's a third declension adjective. All right. Therefore, to come together toward everyone worthy, that's how that works. Is toward for in plus this orange accusative object. We usually take in with an accusative as into. It could also be against, but against definitely doesn't work here. Into doesn't work. It's got to be toward. And that's like why I don't really like this sentence. It doesn't come together for me with that prepositional phrase there. Come together toward everyone worthy. Ugh. Maybe just confer, just taking confera as basically as possible. We want favors to like confer toward. Ugh, I don't know. That's pretty clunky. Not a great one. Okay. But I like some of the other ones, so it's not the end of the world. This last one, haec mala melius exponant, ne divitias minuant aut honore suos amitant. Divitias. Is that Divitii? Is that long I actually long right there like that? That's weird. Divitias. Anyway, okay. So this one's not bad, but it's helpful to look at the dictionary entry for expono, exponera, if you don't know that is third conjugation off the top of your head, which would be a lot to expect, because that helps us understand that this is, in fact, subjunctive. And if it's subjunctive here, and it's, this is not a cum clause, it's the first clause, so we don't have reason to think it's like purpose or result. So it must be jussive, but we haven't had too many third person plural jussive subjunctives, but that would be like, let them explain these wicked deeds, or well, I'm taking that like scella scolaris, but just like these things, these evil things, and that must be neuter accusative plural, that hike, not feminine, obviously, because that would be the subject, and it's not. And Melius here is better. So yesterday I blanked out trying to think of a way we could use the word better as an adverb instead of adjective. I don't know why I couldn't think of it, because this is a great example right here, and this is pretty basic. That, like if you bake a better cake than someone else, that's better as an adjective. I don't know why I'm thinking about cake, but if you explain something better than someone, that's an adverb. Just to remind you guys the difference between the two, which I know you don't need. But yeah, this Melius isn't hard if you know Melior. Melius is also the adjective better, but that isn't a regular one, and it doesn't look anything like bonus or bene, which is the positive adverb form here. But anyway, let them explain these things better, or let them better explain. It might be better to put better by the verb. Okay, so that, and then we have nay, so it's like a negated purpose clause, it looks like, so that they do not diminish wealth, nor, well, I want to say nor, even though it's out, or amitanta norisus, lose their own honors. So just like number one, all we really have going on here, grammar-wise, are direct objects, though I guess in this case, all the verbs are subjunctive because we have a adjective clause going into a purpose, a kind of compound purpose clause. All right, that one's better than number four. Okay, so for the vocab quiz tomorrow, as usual, I'll give y'all a decent amount of time to study, especially since these are so new. I'm planning to choose it's going to be 15 total. I'm going to choose 5 of these, and then 3 or 4 positive adverbs, 3 or 4 comparative, and then 3 or 4 superlatives. Yeah, and okay, like most of these are very straightforward. You should recognize all the positive ones, and this will be multiple choice. I won't do the thing I did last time where actually there was no word bank. So that will make, identifying what's positive or comparative very simple, because all the comparatives will be translated as more so-and-so. At least most of them, right? We have something like longius can be just farther. You don't say more far. But so those are mostly ending with IUS, with the exception of plus, magus, and minus towards the bottom. So pay attention to those, to really everything at the bottom. The positives mostly all end with E or ITER. Probably put magnopera since it's so weird. Oh, okay, it's magnopera. Can't it just be magna? I feel like I've seen magna with just an E at the end, but maybe that would be vocative second declension as an adjective. And then the superlatives mostly have, like I said, the doubled up consonants, except for some at the bottom. So I would pay special attention to those. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Sorry for posting the 2.5 video. I think what happened is I just didn't record this initially, which is fine because yeah, not much else going on an e-learning day. All right, I'll see you guys